Hey everyone, I'm Amina,
Hi, Michelle.
I'm Josh.
and we're editors at the Daily Targum. Welcome to Targum Tea, a podcast that focuses on pop culture reviews and social media. In today's episode, we'll be discussing our picks for the movies and TV shows that everyone should be watching during quarantine.
All right, so my first pick is Better Call Saul. It's a show on AMC. Um, so actually, I forgot to mention before, the first 4 seasons are on Netflix already, so you can go ahead and watch that. But it's the prequel show to Breaking Bad, also on Netflix. So it's like a crime drama, and it's about Walter White's lawyer, Saul Goodman. Walter White's the character of Breaking Bad. So yeah, it's kind of a cool crime drama world to get invested in.
Yeah, I've still never seen Breaking Bad, and I think that's I think it's like a character flaw at this point to just not have seen it.
Yeah, that's like
Wait, me too.
it's like one of like the most well-regarded shows like ever at this point. So it's worth checking out Breaking Bad for sure.
And you said it's on Netflix?
Yeah, Breaking Bad's all on Netflix, and then Better Call Saul, the first 4 seasons are on Netflix. So it's a lot, but we have.
I wish me and Michelle were stans, so we could just jump in and be like, yes, but we just don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no comment on this. I mean, do you think it's a good continuation of the universe? Because I
Yeah.
know sometimes when there are spin-offs, they don't necessarily do it justice.
Yeah. So the thing, well, first of all, it's different because it's a prequel, which isn't like that common. Because it's talking about the main character of the other show's lawyer, so it's like a side character of the main show. So it's just kind of, it has a lot of the same side characters, so it's just kind of filling in information and stuff. But it's not like a waste of time spin-off thing. It's like really well done. The creators are really talented, so if you have a Netflix account, it's like totally worth it. Even if you're not a big crime person, like my mom doesn't like that stuff, and she loves Breaking Bad. So
yeah, my mom too.
Your mom's seen Breaking Bad and you haven't?
Yeah, they would watch it when as it was coming out, on cable and stuff. But anyway, so my pick is a podcast that I follow because I'm not really big on shows recently. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a podcast called Deconstructed with Mehdi Hassan, and he's basically this journalist, and he just breaks down the news or just gives his opinion that way, or he just has a guest on to explain what goes on in the week. And lately he's just been a really good source of information during coronavirus. And yeah, he's had so many baddies on the show, like AOC and Bernie, and just I don't know, I just really like his journalistic style. So that's my recommendation.
So it's just
really cool.
It's like a news thing, but he has interviews on it.
Yeah, basically. And it's just
cool.
his interpretation of the news and what he thinks and just breaking it down. And he's just I don't know, it's just nice to hear someone like him talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
He brings a really unique perspective.
I need to listen to more podcasts for sure. So that's a great recommendation. It reminds me a little bit of this other podcast that I used to listen a lot to, called Getting Curious with Jonathan Van Ness. And he's one of the Fab Five from Queer Eye.
I've heard it.
He's wonderful. I mean, he would just break down so many random things. He wouldn't talk about the news necessarily, but he would just talk about a lot of different topics. Sometimes they would be really hot button relevant issues, but in general it was just very entertaining but fun to have someone break things down for you. So yeah, I'll definitely check out that podcast. You should send me the link after.
Awesome.
Okay, so my pick for a show that people should totally be watching right now is Demon Slayer. I think the Japanese name is Kimetsu no Yaiba. So you can look it up by either name. I don't think that it's on Netflix right now. So there are a lot of websites that you can look for it online, and there are English subtitles. I think there also is an English dub if you prefer a dubbed version, but as most of my anime watchers will probably agree. The subversions are usually better because Japanese voice actors just get super, super into it. So basically, the show is about a young boy and a girl who survive a demon attack on their family. It basically like kills everyone else in their family, and it turns the young girl, his sister, it turns the young girl into a demon. So this boy is kind of on a mission to figure out if there's a way to cure his sister. And essentially along the way, he ends up having to do all these additional quests. You meet all these other characters. You find out the backstories of so many of the demons that he ends up fighting against. And I think what I really, really love about it, the protagonist, Tanjiro, is the boy, and his sister is named Nezuko. The protagonist has just such a kind heart that despite like all of these like really traumatic experiences, he still manages to like see the good in everyone. And the way that he kind of encounters these demons, even though he is like exterminating them essentially, in their final moments, like there's always like some level of clarity where he's kind of like sending them off to peace and like laying them to rest. So there's a lot of violence in the anime. There's a lot of things going on, and it's like very, very intense. And yet at the same time, it's like very like therapeutic and heartwarming to watch.
That sounds really cute.
Yeah, it's so, so cute. I love it so much. And it's like critically acclaimed as one of the most, I guess, like artistic, aesthetic, like modern animes. And I think it's very, very accessible to people who haven't watched anime before. And it's been doing so well that they're actually making a movie off of it. I think it's going to be released like next year or something. I mean, we have to see how everything goes because of the pandemic, obviously. But they're releasing a movie based off of one of the main arcs of the anime, which I won't talk about because I don't want to spoil it. And then the other great thing about anime is that it comes from written form usually too. So you can like read the manga, which is like basically like more updated than the anime. Like there's just so much variety there. It's awesome and everybody should watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I got a lot into anime recently, so I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, I think what I also love about anime or Japanese movies or K-dramas or like Bollywood movies and things is that it introduces you to a new kind of like narrative structure and storytelling that we're typically not used to because we're so like used to like the American structure of like how a story is developed or even the way that people will make an argument. Like it's very like particular the way that they do it. And then when you start watching things or listening to things from another culture, the way that they develop their plot, the way that they resolve their conflicts, the way that they build characterization can be really, really different. And it's like such a fascinating experience to become engulfed in.
For sure. Josh, did you have another suggestion?
Yeah, so another one is a movie, Parasite. This became a really popular film last year, obviously. But the reason I wanted to mention it is because I saw recently that it's on Amazon Prime. So it's streaming on Prime, meaning that they don't charge you extra because Amazon like charges extra for a lot of stuff. But this one is free. So yeah, but for anyone who's not that familiar with it, it's kind of like a story on that kind of examines class structure in South Korea. This poor family kind of starts working for this richer family in a kind of dishonest way. They like steal people's jobs and stuff. I don't want to give too much away, but it's kind of like it kind of questions like morals and who's in the right and wrong. And it's like a mixture of genres. It's kind of comedy, thriller, and horror all wrapped into one. I think it's really brilliant and it's worth everybody's time. So yeah, and it won like the best picture and stuff. So
it has certainly been the subject of like every IB article in like the past 3 months. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an excellent movie.
Yeah, for good reason. It's a great movie.
Right. I have yet to watch it, so I need to either use one of my friend's Prime accounts, or I guess I'll have to renew my Prime. I don't know. I don't really want to renew my Amazon things right now. But
yeah, don't make Bezos richer because he's okay. Anyway, so the next one that I would recommend to everyone is this new show on Netflix. It's called okay, it's called The Midnight Gospel. Okay, I just forget because it's such like an obscure name. But anyway, so The Midnight Gospel follows it's like created by the same people that made Adventure Time, and it's like a cartoon, and it follows like this one guy named Clancy, and he's basically just like this space kid like guy who like tells different stories by like going into like this one like universe like hub like machine. Anyway, so I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's like a really good story, and it's getting so many good reviews. For instance, the Los Angeles Times calls it like the anti Rick and Morty, just because like right off the bat it like makes such good commentary. It's so funny. It's just, like really good. The colors are amazing, like visuals are cool. So I would recommend this like for people who just want to like de-stress or like not have to worry about things. It's just like a really good story.
Yeah, that's awesome. As soon as you said like Adventure Time, I was hooked because like Adventure Time was such an incredible like epic story that was told for so long. And I mean, some people have different feelings about how they ended it, but I loved so much of Adventure Time. I'm so excited that there's more.
It's a great story. I'm sure. I hope you like it.
Oops. So my next recommendation is called Pose. I think it's called Pose FX, or maybe FX is just like the network name or whatever. But it's basically like, I don't know how I would describe it exactly in terms of like the genre. It's like a drama, dance, musical, something show that's set in the 1980s. And I believe the second season explores the 1990s a little bit more. It focuses on the LGBTQ community of New York City. And it's really, really amazing because it is simultaneously like super educational and interesting, but it's also kind of like a cool like trip into like history that we usually don't get to learn about, because I don't think ever in my high school or even in college, unless you're really seeking it out, you don't learn about like LGBTQ history in terms of like the lives that were lived and like the conflicts that people were going through every single day, and the ways that they overcame those. Like, I think the extent to which I learned about it was like marriage equality and Stonewall. Yeah, so this is really cool because it introduces you to ballroom culture. It introduces you to so many of like these incredible, like well-written characters, and it gives a lot of focus to trans issues specifically, which I think is really awesome. And a lot of the basically the entire cast that was actually casted as like LGBTQ characters in like real life or whatever, like they are those identities. So like you have a trans woman playing a trans woman, you have a gay man playing a gay man, and you have like writers who are of the LGBTQ community as well. So it's just like really, really well-rounded in the way that they not only like represented people on the screen, but they also represented people like in terms of like the production of the show. And it's so good. There are so many great reads. There are so many moments that like make me cry my eyes out.
Wait, what streaming platform is this on?
This is on like almost every streaming platform, I think. If I look it up real quick, it's on Netflix, for sure. I watched all of season 1 on it, and last I heard, season 2 was being released on it, and I think it's up there now. Yeah, and it's on Amazon Prime. Basically everything. Yeah.
Awesome. And well, there's an IB article about it too. So
oh, really? Oh my god, yeah. So exciting. Yes, it's like
written by Brianna Omana. Everyone should check it out.
Shout out.
Shameless plug.
Okay, Josh, do you have another recommendation?
Yeah. So my third recommendation is called Dark. It's a Netflix show. It's a show. It's a German show. So like they're speaking in German, but you can put English subtitles, obviously. But it's about all this crazy stuff like time travel and it's like a sci-fi drama thing. It's kind of like Stranger Things, but like better in my opinion. I think it's just like more well done, and it was interesting for me to watch like a German show because I never did that before. So if you want to like look at how a different, like Michelle was saying about how a different culture structures stories and stuff, definitely check that out. I think it's like one of the best shows I've ever seen, and nobody talks about it. Yeah, I honestly think it's not that popular in this country just because people are too lazy to look at a different culture show. I honestly think that's the only reason.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is like a little. It's kind of dark, like the show says. The show says. So if you want to be more like uplifted and stuff, it's probably not the best choice. But if you like a really compelling drama, then especially for a foreign culture, then that's the pick for you.
That's awesome. Great recommendation. I should totally check these out. Like, I wish we had like compiled a list together. I don't know. We need to do like editors picks and just like
for sure.
I want to check out the one that you said that the people who made Adventure Time, because that's like so cool.
Oh my god, yes. Adventure Time, like too iconic.
Midnight Gospel, don't forget, okay? Because I did.
Don't forget it. Amazing. I'm gonna look it up as soon as we finish.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but my next recommendation has been around since 2018, and I like watched it premiere sort of live. It's called Waco. It's on Netflix now, and it's basically like this miniseries that like explores the events in Waco, Texas, which was like a standoff in the 90s between the FBI and this like religious faction. And it's just like really like cultish and like really like it just like has you shook the whole time, and like I just love like that sort of history stuff too, and especially like really obscure like communities. I don't know, it's really interesting, and I don't know, I think it does like this really intense story like a really good justice. So if you want to check it out, do it.
How long is the whole like series, story, whatever?
I don't know, it didn't feel too long. I don't think it like carried on. It wasn't like as amazing and like dramatic as Tiger King, but it's still like a good story.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one said Tiger King yet. I was expecting
that.
We've
covered Tiger King enough.
Oh my god, I think it's over. Like that was like our quarantine like fixation for like weeks now, and we need to move on.
How could it not be though?
Yeah, honestly,
it was
intense.
Like, it was
no, it was rightly our quarantine fixation. But...
Yeah. But now it's over. We're healthy again.
Honestly, I haven't watched it yet. I feel like yeah, I know. Because I feel like the hype was just like I was
jaws drop at the same time. Josh,
Josh, it's a banger. You need to watch it.
It is so
I know.
Like it's such a
How do you exist right now in 2020 without having seen it? Like
you don't know who you don't understand
you
who
don't
Joe
know.
Exotic is. You don't know who Carol Baskin is. You don't know
no, I've heard the name.
Libertarian political advisor who totally bit off way more than he could chew. Oh Josh, you have to catch up. I'm upset.
I know. I'm gonna check it out tonight. I promise.
You better.
Okay, good.
You're not gonna sleep. You have to make it past the first episode. The first episode is the most tame, and then everything else
okay.
Yeah, you think you know things towards the middle of the series, and then
you really
you don't know you just don't know shit. You just really don't until you get to the end.
It's really intense. It is such an intense watching experience. And I think part of why is because it positions itself as a documentary, but in reality, it's a reality TV show. And so, you just go in with these expectations that it's going to be professional, it's going to be serious, blah, blah, blah. And then, halfway into it, you're finding out about murder plots and, I'm not gonna spoil it, but
yeah, I mean, I keep hearing about Carol Baskin killed someone. I don't know yet, so
that's just literally the most minor subplot to the greater plot. It's literally this relevant, literally this relevant, and then the rest of it was this.
It's not relevant, but also it made me stay a little bit. So there's just a lot of stuff going on.
Well, I gotta check it out. Thanks for being so enthusiastic about it. I don't know.
Of course. Do you want to share your recommendation now?
It's your turn, I think.
Oh my gosh. Oops. I was ready to hear his recommendation. Okay. Gosh. Okay, so my recommendation is Kubo and the Two Strings. It's a really, really, really beautifully made stop motion animated film. And it is about this young boy named Kubo, and he has this magical instrument. I don't know what it's called. It looks like a traditional Chinese instrument to me, so I only know the name in Mandarin. But it's really beautiful. I think it's set in like a kind of Japanese older feudal like fantasy world, and his mom and dad are like these like legendary figures. And there's basically like some kind of like a magical like curse situation going on that he needs to resolve. He's essentially like running away from his grandfather, who seeks to kidnap him and keep him like in the heavens forever. But the story is really, really powerful, not just because of the aesthetics of it and like the beautiful artwork that they did using like clay and paper and like special lighting effects. And it's all stop motion, which basically means that every frame of the movie, they had to like position everything, take a picture, and then position it again, take a picture, position it again. So if you think the amount of work, it's like incredible. But the story itself is really beautiful because it's not exactly a happy story. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but depending on how you look at it, it's not really the super happy ending that you usually get at the end of like children's stories. But it deals with grief and loss and all of these things like really well and really, really beautifully. So overall, it's just like super, super excellent. And also, as an East Asian person, I really appreciated the way that they depicted like East Asian culture, because I didn't feel like kind of like weird and like Orientalist. It felt like very like authentic and respectful and beautiful the way that they did it. So yeah, highly recommend. Really, really love it. And it's not super long of a movie either, so everybody should watch it.
Yeah, I totally have to check it out. Like, there's no excuse at this point.
Yeah, I like the stop.
Yeah, it deserves way more clout.
It sounds cool, the stop motion thing. That sounds interesting.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us. That's all for today, and join us next week on Targum Tea. And make sure to follow the Daily Targum on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more content.